And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at a game called Barrage. Now, I was really pumped about Barrage because the theme of powering plants with dams sounded interesting, but mostly because the combination of Cranio, publisher, Cranio Creations, with this trio of designers who, the last time that combination came together was Lorenzo Magnifico, which is one of my favorite games. So very pumped about this one. Now, this was a Kickstarter. It was a big Kickstarter, a lot of pieces. Once it was delivered, I heard a lot of complaints about the component quality of the Kickstarter, and I can't speak to that because I have not played with all the Kickstarter stuff. I'm just talking here about the base game itself. But this is a heavy Euro-style game in which you are taking precious water. Water is a very precious resource in this game, and converting that to energy. But so is everybody else. Here's how it plays. I'm not going to go over every rule of the game, but I want to give you kind of an idea of how the game works. So to do that, you need to understand the concept here where water droplets are going to be coming. There's a certain amount that will come out each round based on some randomized things, and players will have the opportunity to make more drops come out. And as these water drops come, each round they're going to be going and following the water path, possibly off the board. But they'll also be stopped by dams. There's going to be some neutral dams placed at the beginning of the game, but players will be able to build dams, and each dam will be able to stop one drop of water, but if the levels increase, which can go up to 3, it can stop up to 3 drops of water. Once water is stopped by a dam, then players are going to try to use a power plant to take the water from the dam into the power plant. This power plant would be down here. So the water would come from this dam through the power plant down here, in which case, once it's done and it gives that person some energy, it will then fall down until it hits the next dam or goes off the board. So you need to kind of understand how that structure works. For players to do anything, they're going to need to move from one of their dams to one of their energies. So I could go from this dam to this energy here. So it follows this yellow pathway here on the board. So that's my color dam and my energy plant. I could also go from a neutral to my energy plant. Now, but you need to have a conductor here in between them. But that one doesn't have to be your own. It could be another player that's in between them, but the starting spot and the ending spot need to be yours or neutral. Now, this is a worker placement game in which players are going to be placing workers on the board. And this is one of the spots where you can place workers where you'll be able to convert water into energy like I just showed you. This will add extra energy in these spots. This will lose extra energy. But when you have to place a certain number of workers here, players will have 12. So these cost 2 to go on this side. You need to put 3 on this side and pay money to go on this side of the spot. But when you convert that water into energy, you're going to look at the number on the board. So let's say the number on the board is 3, and I move 2 droplets through it. So that's a total of 6. And let's say I place some workers here. I'm going to get a total of 8 energy. And I'll move this marker up here to show that I got 8 energy. When you get energy, if you have a contract, so let's say I had this contract, for example, which shows I need 7 energy, I can immediately complete this, which will give me a bonus. For example, this says I get 3 victory points, I get an extra worker, and I can drop 2 more drops on the board in one of the columns of my choice. That's a pretty good thing. And so the whole point of this game is to get that water into your dams, run it as energy, and then score these contracts, which are worth points. This energy track is really important for a couple reasons. At the end of each round, whoever's farthest on the energy track is going to score 6 points, and then 2 points for the second farthest. But also there are bonus tiles here that you're going to get for having built stuff. Like, for example, this one here is going to give me 4 points for each of the power stations that I built. However, that's only going to happen in round 3. And if let's say I've only made 12 energy this round, and I have 3 power stations. So 3 times 4, so I'll get 12 points. However, since I'm not in this section with my power thing, I'm going to lose 4 points, so I only get 8. If I was back here, I would lose 8 points, and I would only get 4. And if I'm back here, I would get nothing. So you want to move your energy along as far as you can to get the most points for having your energy up the highest, and to score these bonus tiles that are on the board. Now the game is asymmetrical. Each player is their own color, but you're going to have a person here, and each of those people, you're going to get your own player board that will tell you, how to play the game, but it will give you a special ability that you can unlock over the course of the game. You'll also get an assistant who's going to give you a special ability. So you'll have a combination of 2 special abilities. Now there are 3 resources in the game: money, and money is often used to place on the different worker spaces on the board. And then you have these workers here, concrete mixers and builders, and you're going to be using these to build the various things. Each of these has a cost on them, and the cost also often depends on where you put something on the board. But when you build something using these resources, you don't lose it. So let's say, for example, I want to build a dam. I'm going to take this piece here, which shows that I'm building a dam. I stick it into the wheel, and then the dam says if I'm building in the hills, it would cost 4. So here's a 3 and a 1. I put those here, and then I rotate this 1 space. So you put it in the wheel, and you'll rotate it 1 like that. Now later on, maybe I want to build another level on the dam, and so that would cost me, in the same spot, 3 of the concrete mixers, so I'll put that there, and then rotate this again. Now you only have 1 of each of the different things that you can build, although you do have a wild, and if you're playing with the advanced version, there's ways to buy cool tiles to stick in there. But there's also worker placement spots on the board that let you rotate this 1, 2, or even 3 spots. Once you rotate it back to the beginning, you get the tile back so you can build this again, and you get back your workers so that you can use them again. With that being said, there are many different places to put your workers as players are going to do this. There's one place where everybody can go, where you can just put workers and get a coin for each one. But most of the time you're putting them here to run power. You're putting them here to add more water droplets, or put a water droplet on and drop it down 1. Putting them here in the workshop lets you rotate the wheel. Putting them here lets you get more of the different kinds of workers. And putting them down here allows you to take various contracts. Now there are 3 governmental contracts that anybody can do. They're pretty hard to do. You need a lot of energy. But you can take these smaller contracts, and when you complete them, you'll get some sort of reward, which is usually points, but could be something else like this one here. Lets you build a free dam. Players are going to be building out here on the board. There's various spots to put dams, power plants, the turbines. Sometimes there's an extra cost that's listed on the board of 3 coins, and then the other costs are listed on the board. Players are going to take turns doing this each round of the game. They're going to place out their workers, maybe converting energy. Then the water at the top of the board is going to fall down, possibly falling off the board. Then more water droplets will show up at the top of the board. You'll be scoring these bonus points. There's a random bonus tile here at the end of the game that will give various points for whatever you may have done. And whoever has the most points after 5 rounds is the winner. There's a lot of complaints online about the Kickstarter components. This is just the base version of the game, so I can't speak to those. But one thing I really like is of the 4 colors, there's 4 different shapes. So these are the dams of the 4 different colors. You can see how they're all different. These are the power plants, also different, and that's neat. And I like how each player has a recessed board in which to place all these. By the way, when you build things of different types, it's going to increase your income at the beginning of each round. You're going to get income points, possibly spinning your wheel and money. But I also like that this dam is here, for example. Well, I can't see what it is, but it just tells me that above it. I thought that was a nice touch. I can pull that off. Also, I like how on the board itself, this is where you put workers to build things on your wheel. So you can build 4 times in a turn, although the 4th time will each time cost you more workers, and the 4th time also costs you money. But nobody else can go to these spots. You can't block each other. And this board itself is just really nice. I like that the special ability for each board is listed down here. And so you'll get that ability when you open up one of the areas on your board, and it tells you what it is. It also explains the game phases to you on the side. These special abilities you'll have to look up, and when you're looking at these other tiles, you may have to look up what the icons are, but I found that the iconography is not too bad. It gets pretty easy pretty quickly. I know what these mean. After playing the game only a few times, you can figure them out. So the components for the game are fun. I will say that there's a lot going on when you look at it. There is one major component problem and that's these water droplets here. Now they look really cool, although they also look like you bought them at a Bejeweled store. But when they're on the board and I need to pick it up to move it, and I'm not pretending here for comedic effect, they're really hard to pick up. I'm going to be replacing the ones in my game with wooden droplets. Other than that, I don't have a problem with the game. The wheel here, you have to make sure you put the stuff in, but it does spin around pretty easily. It's a neat thing. I've heard some people have problems with theirs. I did not with mine. So again, I'm not taking a look at the Kickstarter aspect of this, but the base game itself, I like the components. There's a couple things I have to say that I was really pleased about with this. One is the theming of the game. Euro games tend to have loose themes. In fact, the last one I talked about, Lorenzo El Magnifico, whatever the theme is in that game, it's a cool engine building game, but forget the theme. This one, the theme is incredibly strong as these water droplets come down and you need to get them into the dams and then, collect the water in the dam and then reroute that water through the power turbines to the power stations and then change it into energy and then complete contracts and send the energy out. That's a very workable theme, and the way the water flows on the board makes a lot of sense. And so, honestly, I don't often see a theme this strong. In this case, it's there. Even placing the workers on the wheel, which you're like, well, what's a wheel? Well, that's like a time thing. Like, hey, these workers, these concrete mixers are working on building this, and they're going to be tied up for a few turns, but they don't disappear. They can come back and they'll be able to work on the next one. So, all in all, very happy with the theme. The wheel mechanism is a neat idea. Placing that there, moving it around, you can spend actions moving the wheel, or you can spend actions just building more stuff. You have to decide what to build. Building a pile of buildings gets you a lot of income each turn of the game, and that's a very viable way to winning. And then running as much water as you can through power stations is the other viable option of the game. So I like how those two things work together. It is at its heart a worker placement game, but you have a lot of workers, and so you want to get out first to the spots that require fewer of them to give you more. There's a lot of options each round. But, and this is something I don't think I can't emphasize enough, Barrage is not a friendly game. One of the biggest complaints about Euro games is often that you are not really messing with each other. You are working in your own world, building your own thing. And sometimes, a lot of times, that's what I like. Okay, we're working together. Oh, you took the spot I wanted. Okay, I'll take this spot that you want, whatever. But right now I'm working on my own kingdom. That is not how this game is at all. This is one of the meanest games I've played in a while. It's incredibly interactive, and you will watch everything everyone else does at all points. Someone has a lot of dams with a nice section where they can convert water. I'll build a dam above you, collect the water first, then route it to a different spot. Oh, man, this game is super tense and very thinky, right? Every decision you make here matters. There is some luck in the game with the contracts that come up and with the way, the initial water comes out. But the rest of it, you control. And you are going to be studying that board and figuring out where to put the dams, where to collect the water, putting my turbines out there so that you have to use those. Oh, and here's the thing. I like Barrage a lot. But this is the main reason that Barrage, which I don't normally talk about my ratings and reviews, but this gets an 8, which is really solid. But what keeps it from being excellent for me only is that when I'm done with a game of this, I'm kind of wiped out. I'm like, oh, whew. I like it, but I'll be like, all right. Let's wait for a while before I play that again because I'm so in the game. Now, one of the things this game reminds me of a lot, honestly, is Brass. And I know a lot of people like Brass and has that same kind of tense feeling. Here, though, I can follow the game better. It doesn't feel as obtuse to me as Brass did. This one, I can see the water coming down and it all flows together, and I love the wheel mechanism. I love the special abilities. I like how I feel different than other people, but we're all competing for the same thing, and there's never enough water, but I can add more water in spots. But if I'm doing that, I'm not the first person to power up to run through the power, and oh man, the choices in this game are delicious. You sit there and you're like, oh, what do I do now? And I never feel like there's a situation where I'm sitting there going, there's nothing I can do. But there definitely are situations where I am inside my head saying extremely unkind things about the other players because they just stuck that dam where I wanted to, or I was about to use that water, or they built a big dam up in the front, caught all the water, and it never got down to me this turn like I was expecting it to. There's a lot of goodness in Barrage. It is definitely not a game for everybody. If you don't like interactiveness, this is not for you because you will cut other people off. You are trying to watch how this water falls down in its natural progression and make it work for you and not somebody else. And the more players, the meaner it gets, I think, although it is a maximum of 4. Now, if you do like those kind of decisions and you like lots of options and you like a game that I feel, even though there's a little luck, is going to play very differently each time because the starting neutral dams are going to change how everything works. The powers that players have are going to change how things work. Each player gets a starting contract that, might change a little bit of what you do. And you might try different strategies. What am I going to build first this time? Am I going to go for those extra pieces to put in the wheel, which is a cool idea? A lot of goodness, a lot of thought has gone into Barrage, and it's one that I like. Can't play it all the time because it would wear me out. But when I do play it, it is a very enjoyable experience. Dice Tower Judgment approved!
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando, in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.